Hello, we're here at the Vast Forward World Tour, the London stop of the World Tour. I'm here with the man of the hour, Renen Hallak himself, CEO of Vast Data. So Renen, thank you very much for the invite to the event. We're having a great time so far. Can you just, for our audience who might not be aware of Vast Data, very, very quickly explain to them what you guys do and where you fit into the kind of AI ecosystem?
Yeah, at Vast we built the AI operating system. We're basically the software infrastructure layer for these new training and inference and fine-tuning applications. We started 10 years ago building the storage layer, and then we added the database layer and the compute layer, trying to build out all of the tools required for these new agentic applications.
And who's the main customer base that you guys are looking for when you're building this? Who are you building it for?
So again, when we started, it was the organizations that were on the bleeding edge of AI, a lot of hedge funds and life science institutes. And then as agentic AI became a thing, it was the large model builders like XAI and a bunch of others, and obviously the new AI clouds like CoreWeave and Lambda and Crusoe are big customers of ours. Over the last 12 months, as AI makes its way into the enterprise, Fortune 500 companies are starting to leverage our platform in order to fuel these new agentic applications.
How have you had to change your approach as you've moved through those different layers of, I guess, comfortableness with AI, if you want to put it that way? I really liked your analogy about, in the 70s, you had to have a computer science degree to operate a computer. Microsoft comes along, now everyone does it without thinking about it. Can you talk us through that journey that you guys have been on?
Yeah, so in the early days we were working with experts, and so they were telling us what AI is and what it requires from a scale and performance perspective. And then as this evolves, we want to make it widespread, and so we're focused a lot more on simplifying it, on making it secure, making it easy for enterprises and non-experts to both develop agents and use these new abilities in production.
Yeah, and where do you see the neoclouds fitting into that kind of, that overall story and that journey that you've been on? Would a CoreWeave or a Lambda or a Crusoe, would they be like a gateway for an enterprise to use the Vast platform if they're using their AI cloud services, or are they kind of direct customers themselves? How does that work?
So a little bit of both, and so a lot of them are using us as that software infrastructure layer in order to attract enterprises and large model builders and AI startups. The old clouds were built on old hardware, on an old stack, on an old architecture, and these new AI clouds are really rebuilding everything from the ground up. So they have a new type of power plant, new type of data center, new GPUs and fast networking, SSDs within those data centers, and they need our software infrastructure layer on top of that to provide all of these AI services.
So moving forward, where do you see the bulk of Vast growth coming from? Do you think it's an even mix between these deals, such as the one you signed with CoreWeave this week, or versus the kind of directly with the enterprises? How is that going to change and grow moving forward?
So as more and more enterprises start to adopt AI, and governments and basically everybody, there are different ways for them to access the hardware and software that is required for it. Some of them will build out their own infrastructure, others will go through AI clouds, and our aim is to serve them wherever they may be. And in many cases it's a hybrid approach where some of their infrastructure belongs to them, other parts is in the cloud, and we want to be that fabric across the data space that gives them one abstraction layer regardless of where they want to operate.
So I guess it's quite important for your business model and the business model of a lot of your partners and your customers that we do get to this point where enterprises are, not just testing AI, but they're using it and it's delivering value to them so they can reinvest in it and grow their use of it. How concerned are you about how that process is going? Do you think there's anything that needs to happen for us to get more enterprise adoption? Maybe there's a comparison between the US and where we are right now in the UK that you can make, and the different kind of regulatory environments, or what they can and can't do. What do you think about kind of enterprise adoption as a whole moving forward?
I think the enterprises are moving really, really fast from sandbox environments and tests into production workloads. As they're seeing the value, they're realizing that they need access from these AI systems to all of their data. And definitely different pace in different countries, but this is going to happen a lot faster than we thought. For the last 3 years, people have been talking about it, for the last 3 months, we're really seeing it happen at pace.
Cool. Okay, that's encouraging to hear. I get one question I think is coming up a lot amongst our audience that are more like data center focused is around what I think we understand the training use case quite well. We need like these large data centers, AI factories, large clusters of GPUs, large amounts of power. But when it comes to inference and as a further extension of that agentic AI, how well served are those data centers that we're building, these large scale AI factories, to serving that demand? Do we need to start thinking about, from a latency perspective, moving closer back to population centers, or creating these kind of like more like inference edge nodes? How do you view that at Vast?
100%. Training is this one big factory that requires a lot of compute power and can be isolated. It doesn't need to be close to anywhere. Inference happens at the edge. It needs to be close to people. It needs to be low latency. It needs to be extremely high resilience, because you can't have inference go down or else people are affected by it. Mission critical systems will start to be affected by inference. That means that the shift of weight between compute and data is happening very quickly. Inference is a lot more data intensive, both unstructured and structured data.
Yeah, how much of a concern is that uptime as we move into the inference side of things? Because if you look at some of the benchmarks for the performance of some of these models running, I think it's like kind of CoreWeave at around 96% is one of the standouts. Probably the industry average, at least like maybe 6 months ago, is around 90%. Obviously for inference that's not good enough. So is there anything that we could be doing or that Vast are doing to be able to try and ensure that that uptime is approaching the kind of 5 nines level that you would expect from a traditional cloud service?
Yeah, we like 6 nines at least, and we don't do it at the hardware layer, we do it at the operating system layer. And so you can have failures in hardware and the system is highly available such that it will reroute inference to other GPUs as they become available. It will know where the session state is, and it will maintain a global KV cache such that you don't need to recompute things that you've already computed. That lowers time to first token, and at the same time reduces the number of GPUs that you need to run the same level of workloads. And so again, that software layer, the data part, becomes a lot more important in this general equation of inference versus training.
On the GPU side of things, obviously NVIDIA are here, they're a big partner of yours. How reliant is the Vast platform on using NVIDIA architecture? Like we're seeing AMD, obviously they're still like very far behind a lot of, basically everything's still NVIDIA, but AMD are like making ground, signed a deal with OpenAI. We're seeing like Anthropic using Trainium and Google's Silicon. So how do things change for Vast if we kind of create, I guess if there's a more like kind of competitive landscape in terms of the GPU side of things, NVIDIA doesn't have this insane market share. How does that change things for you guys? Does it change anything at all?
So our layer is agnostic to the underlying hardware. It's meant to make it easy for new applications to access new hardware while abstracting it away from them. And so we work with NVIDIA, we work with the others. We had a big announcement today with Google around integrating our system into their TPU environments. But as you said, today, more than 90% of what we see out there is NVIDIA, and we work very, very closely with them to make sure that our system is fully integrated with their components.
One last question. So Vast, you said you've been going around 10 years already, just shared some information on some like very strong growth. What's the plan for the company going forward? Is an IPO on the cards? Would you consider it maybe an acquisition target for one of these neoclouds, one of the hyperscalers even? Do you have any kind of strategy around that you can share with us?
So we're growing very fast, and as we grow, we become too big for most companies to acquire us. We, as a company, are really excited about innovating for our customers and enabling this next revolution. I think the first decade is almost behind us. The next decade will be a lot more exciting as an independent company as we continue. From a private versus public perspective, it will make sense at some point for us to become public. We're getting ready for that now,
okay.
But I don't have a date.
Don't have a date. Is there like a rough timeline you can share, or is?
I think we'll be ready sometime next year, okay. And then we'll need to decide if and when we want to do it.
Fantastic. Well, Renen, thank you so much for joining us. Really great chatting with you. Thank you to everyone for watching at home, and you can check out more videos at techcapital.com.